jihad is not antithetical to human rights.
Okay, now I will get Biraj, who's the Amnesty representative, to come in on that. But first, Vrinda and Sushil Pandit and Vikram on whether we see this as connected. To me, sitting here in Kashmir, the slogan debate seems entirely irrelevant. Nalin says don't connect it. Vrinda, how do you see this?
Marka, I think they're deeply connected, and the reason why I think they're connected is because what is happening in Kashmir now for many days, after all, as you have repeatedly said, not only today but even earlier, is that we need more political engagement. How does political engagement happen in a democracy? It happens through people forming opinion, people talking about it, people sharing facts, people hearing each other, people understanding what is the other person suffering, feeling. And to my mind, that, and I'm only speaking on the basis of media reports, there are 2 detailed reports about what transpired over there, and I speak on the basis of that this was an event to talk about what is happening in Kashmir. Yes, there are different constituencies. Yes, there are different groups which have their own very valid, legitimate set of sufferings. And therefore, this conversation is important. What is happening in Bangalore, and I think it's totally unnecessary to start demonizing Amnesty in the middle of it. Just to point out to Mr. Nalin Kohli that the objection to that particular association of Amnesty International was raised by some of us. I was one of the signatories, and it was by an Amnesty person who is of Indian origin who actually raised the alarm on it. So let's not try and use this occasion to demonize Amnesty on a different fact and derail the whole question. So what we are saying over here, to my mind, is that the and secondly, coming on the legal aspect of it, it's interesting, both the earlier 2 senior lawyers have said that, you know, this is about an FIR, it doesn't matter. Of course it matters. This is the way people's lives, particularly people who are in public life, people who are talking, who are dissenting, people who are raising issues and questions. We have seen this happen in Kudakulam, we have seen this happen to Binayak Sen, and here again, this is the chilling effect to democracy. This is about throttling freedom of speech and expression.
Tarka, can I come in?
Let me, Nalin, before you all come in, before I come back to all of you, Sushil Pandit, Vikram Sampath and Biraj, who haven't spoken. Sushil, go ahead.
Yes, Barkha, if the question remains the same, and I would also agree with Brinda that they are connected issues, but connected differently. When you saw things erupting in Hyderabad first, where they were eulogizing Yaqub Memon or Afzal Guru, and then you saw the reverberations of the same in JNU, followed by Jadhavpur, there was an unmistakable connection. The slogans were the same. The arguments were the same.
What's the connection?
This is all
the connection,
fairy tale
yes, the people who were doing this had organizational links, had ideological links, their vocabulary was same, their modus operandi was same. So how can you be blind to this connection? Their presentation of issues was the same, and it is going on for the past several months. So you have to be monumentally blind not to see a connection. And to dismiss it as conversation, Barkha, let me finish my point. To dismiss it as a mere conversation will be travesty. How can this kind of conversation carry on, where you bring the very nationhood of India into question, where you emphasize of its breakup?
Can I come in,
where you call it
Barkha, can I come in now?
The Hindu Mahasabha is building
Can I come in now? Barkha, can I come in?
I have not finished. I may be cutting too close to the bone.
1 minute. Sushil.
Yes.
Sushil, 1 minute. Sushil, 1 minute. Let me explain to you what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say, sitting here in the Kashmir Valley, as you know, I report from here on the ground repeatedly, is that if we are going to be terrified of slogans, how are we going to resolve and address what is, with or without the Pakistan dimension, a separatist sentiment on the ground? There is a separatist sentiment here. We need to engage with it to resolve it, right? There is Pakistan, let's shelve that, let's let India, the Indian state and the military deal with that. There is a separatist sentiment here. I want to get Vikram and Viraj. I'll come back to you, Sushil. Vikram, you're a Bangalore resident. How do you see
Let me finish that point, Barkha. In terms of the connection.
Okay, Sushil, finish that sentence, then Vikram. Okay, finish that point, Sushil, then Vikram.
You see, of course, there is a separatist sentiment, and that sentiment has been given a steroid shot by events like these, because then you are willing to give them a semblance of a chance, saying if they push little harder, India is willing, India is indifferent. There are such echoes happening from all over, and it is just a matter of another push and a matter of little more time. This kind of dangling of carrot to the separatists in Kashmir, to the separatist sentiment in Kashmir, has actually worsened the situation.
Sushil, what are you
doing? If you had drawn the lines, the red lines in time...
the Kashmir Valley for sedition?
Okay, no, of course
let me get... Okay, one minute. I'm requesting everyone who's spoken to let the people who haven't spoken speak. Vikram and Biraj. Vikram first, then Biraj. Vikram, go ahead.
Barkha, I think you flagged the issue very rightly right at the beginning, where you said it's ironical that on the one hand for 39 days the strife is going on unending. It's our brave army jawans and civilians who are caught in this crossfire, and here we are sitting talking about something else. I would like to flag off two important issues to all these dubious NGOs and all the various student politics. I wouldn't care any less about any of them. My issue is this: dissent is a cornerstone of a vibrant democracy like India. But the two questions we need to ask is dissent permissible to such a level that people swear to break the very nation that gives them that right to dissent, or to also to battle till the time the nation is dismembered, like what happened in the JNU case? And also, is dissent bigger than the nation? So that's my first question. The second question is, can one take the cover of constitutional provisions to swear to again break the very nation run by the very same constitution? On the one hand, you speak of the nation breaking to pieces, and then you're also invoking the same constitution from where all these rights flow. So I really don't understand. So while the right to criticize the government, the Prime Minister, his policies is valid, it must be safeguarded, it must be encouraged, I think the constitutional morality must stop somewhere, and particularly at a time like this, when we are at war. It is a war-like situation.
Barkha, I waited patiently.
Okay, Biraj.
Yes.
Biraj, go ahead.
Yeah, I waited patiently for everybody to make their point. Let's focus on what happened in Bangalore. What was that event about? The event was the release of a report, and families of people who've been killed in encounters with security forces or have disappeared without trace, sharing their stories of grief, including Shahzad Ahmad Khan's family, who was killed in the Machil false encounter case, where 6 army personnel have been court-martialed and punished. And a representative of the Kashmiri Pandit community was also invited, because after all, you and I may not understand this, but I think every Pandit in the valley and every Muslim family in the valley, they understand the meaning of grief, because that is a part of Kashmir. They share each other's grief in a way that we as outsiders cannot. They grieve the dying child, whether killed by a bullet of a security force or somebody who's killed by a militant. I think let's be very clear about that. Now, when this dialogue was happening, it's moderated by a very respected journalist, Seema Mustafa, who's also a daughter of the army. Her father was in the army. You have Mr. Mattu speaking right at the end, and then there's some music happening. The police permission has been sought. The police are video recording the event. Amnesty is video recording the event. In the end, there is some shouting from the audience by the people from the ABVP and others, and there are counter slogans. Now, how on earth this constitutes a case of sedition against an organizer who's organized this event is, it's completely out of... Now, number two, the point I want to make is...
I just want to...
Barkha, Amnesty does not have a position on self-determination. Not in Kashmir, not anywhere. Amnesty does not take a position on individual cases of self-determination. It does not have a position on self-determination in Kashmir. So there is no question about anything seditious happening. And if we are, now to answer Vikram's question, if we are going to live in a democracy, we have to live by the constitutional freedoms that are guaranteed to us. They are not conditional. They are subject to interpretation by the Supreme Court. Both Nalin, who's a lawyer, and Abhishek have laid down the law. So...
No, Barkha, there's one thing that I want to add here. There's one very little thing that I want to add here. What happens is there are people of the Hindu Mahasabha who are building temples of Godse, and I haven't seen a single sedition case against them. RSS recently, they held a seminar on Kashmir in JNU, which was clandestinely shifted to IIMC, in which they invited Indresh Kumar, who is an accused in the in the Ajmer blasts and some of the blasts. He's an accused in those blasts. And you know, he's an accused in the Samjhauta blast.
He was not eventually named as an accused. Just to clarify,
in the Ajmer blast
on a legal point, he was not eventually named as an accused in the charge sheet.
No, but this is what these connections.
But you're making a larger point.
But what Nalin does here is he draws a connection between amnesty and something jihadi. I mean, we can also draw those connections. They have been very innocent.
I plead guilty on one thing. I do
the issue is, Barkha, everyone is entitled to talk about Kashmir, but not Kashmiri.
Okay, 1 minute, guys.
And that's what the ABP want.
Barkha, I must point out.
Abusing women, beating up people.
Okay, 1 minute. Okay. Everybody calm down. Everybody calm down. Nalin, is that you, Nalin? Okay,
can I just comment?
I can't follow all of you because you're all speaking together. Okay, guys, Shaila, hang on. Nalin, one sentence, then Vikram, then Vrinda. Nalin, go ahead. Nalin, go ahead.
Ms. Shaila is entitled to a strong viewpoint, but she need not become personal with me. And I don't think she holds any brief to be able to comment on what I have seen in life or I have not.
Okay.
I've seen a lot more. I've even met terrorists who had carried revolts. I've seen what peace talks are. And I don't need an education from someone in a... Well, I mean, I don't need education from a young lady who's entitled to her views. I'm entitled to my views. Thank you very much to that. Now my two comments beyond the personal. I have to make a quick comment. Yes, I know Dr. Singhvi, but I have not made a substantive point. I want to come to a substantive point. Just a sec, Sushil, may I request? I have a substantive point to make, which is very simple. Anyone who breaks the law, I mean you, me, anyone, Hindu Mahasabha, X, Y, Z, anything, does it matter? The person who breaks the law is going to face the consequences of it. Why is this whole belief that it's not going to be done like this? I don't understand where this argument is coming from. And I'm not making a simplified case. I know what I'm saying is inconvenient to what Shaila would like to hear. But if it is inconvenient to her, good luck to her. I mean, I'm not going to be sitting here to make a script that Shaila would like me to bring it. I'm not going to go by a script that the left or the ultra-left or the extreme left would like me to.
Vikram Sampath. Vikram, go ahead.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm going to carry a script.
Shaila, Nalin, please stop it.
Even if she feels irritated, she doesn't like what I say.
Vikram, go ahead. Vikram, go ahead. Vikram, go ahead.
On a lighter note, I think this is sounding like one of your rival channels. But then, nonetheless, I think...
No, please. Never.
I really don't understand why one cannot question, the legitimacy of the Amnesty International. I mean, what is wrong? It's not some jihadi, elements. They were, right from 2010, there have been a lot of protests internationally about the kind of elements that the Amnesty International has been involved with. And so much for freedom of expression. When Geeta Sehgal makes her case in 2010, she's sacked from the organization. And she said, in the context of the Amnesty International's association with Muazzam Beg, who was a known British Pakistani jihadi who had links with almost every country in terrorist training camps.
But the debate is not about amnesty for me. But for me, the debate is not amnesty specific. The debate is not amnesty specific, Vikram. The debate is a larger debate about this country.
Of course, but then it is also the Amnesty International has positioned itself as one of the protagonists. And I'd just like to say,
let's take Abhishek.
Sehgal had said about
Can I come in here?
Yes, I'm going to have to start bringing our mics now.
Values of tolerance, especially towards women, and Shaila is sitting there talking of feminist ideologies. So
now can I go to the others? Abhishek and then Vrinda. Abhishek, Vrinda, then Sushil. Abhishek, go ahead.
Well, Barkha, clearly free speech and expression has been a casualty for the last 15 minutes in your channel. Those who don't believe in interrupting and speaking simultaneously. And I think knowing your aversion to what happens on your other friendly channel, I think you should do everything possible to avert a repetition of what happened in the last 15 minutes.
I couldn't agree more.
Despite the audio being perfect.
I couldn't agree more.
Despite the audio being perfect.
I couldn't agree more. Make your point.
I think, second, I think we have expanded the debate so much to make our respective points that the core of the debate is missed. We start off with rhetorical self-questions when people are making statements to break the country, when they're attacking the country. But that's begging the question, Barkha. Just tell me, just duplicate the factual situation of what happened at this seminar. Just replay it. It's there in all the videos and sites, etc. Will you try and stop this kind of belligerence or ego fighting between two groups at a seminar by sedition? How many times will you file sedition charges? You'll have to file sedition charges almost every day, 5 times a day, 10 times a day all over the country. You just, so you can't apply the sedition concept by arguing on your debate.
You can't even begin engagement
how we are breaking the country, how we are doing this. No, forget that. I'm saying you can have
Abhishek.
something else. I'm not saying you agree with them. You can control them, you can shout at them, you can scold them, you can say that you are doing other unruly behavior. But sedition, for God's sake, sedition is something else.
Okay.
I think we're missing that point.
Vrinda now. I agree.
One last thing. This point about the institution who has organized the seminar or is a co-participant, Amnesty, how can you have a whole blanket thing against the association itself or an organization? It can be Mr. ABC
now let Vrinda
else in the audience. It can't be
let Vrinda speak.
I want to make a couple of very quick points.
Vrinda.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
I just want to make a couple of quick points. I think it is time for the sedition provision from the Indian Penal Code to be repealed. The Supreme Court in the Kedarnath Singh and other judgments that have already been referred to in this show narrowed and tailored it down, hoping that that is the way it would be interpreted, not only by the courts, but also by the policeman and by everybody else. That is not happening. Recently we know that in Chhattisgarh, one Kashmiri man has been booked for sedition for liking a Facebook post which is said to be anti-India. I don't know what the Facebook post is. How the point the Kedarnath Singh judgment and subsequent pronouncements made was the link with violence, the incitement to violence, the incitement to public disorder. Clearly, this is a provision which, like in the British colonial rule, is being used to suppress people from expressing views which others, particularly those sitting in power, think should not be voiced. There is no way that the pronouncements are followed. This provision, can I finish please? Can you please wait? Can you learn to wait to listen to somebody else without expressing your opinion? I have waited patiently for others. This provision will need to be repealed, just like we believe in freedom of speech and expression for section 66A. The second point I want to make is that just as in the GNU incident, the entire GNU university was sought to be maligned and demonized for the kind of debates and intellectual debates that it stood for, or dissenting debates that it stood for. Now, are we going to use this opportunity, and we're already hearing on this panel, to demonize Amnesty? I want to repeat here, Amnesty International's association with jihadists was objected to by Geeta Sehgal, and many of us objected and wrote publicly about it. So please do not come up now, those of you who remain silent and have nothing to do with human rights. Is dissent bigger than the nation? The citizens' rights are bigger than everything. These do not, we took the constitution to ourselves. These are not gifted to us by the state.
Barkha, if I can come in here for a minute.
Let me now go to Sushil. No, 1 minute. Vikram, 1 minute. 1 minute. I don't know who's... 1 minute, Viraj. Okay, Viraj, 1 second.
Yeah,
then
just
Sushil,
1 second. I just want to say two things.
Go ahead.
That for those who want to go back to history, I would like to, I know that the BJP generally has an aversion to historical facts, but please read what Mr. L.K. Advani has said about Amnesty. It's a long quote. I don't want to read it here. When he was a prisoner of conscience during the emergency, the support that he accorded to Amnesty subsequently, number one. Number two, this whole issue is being turned as something that an organization has done wrong. Now look, if in a country we are so afraid of having a debate and getting people to share their grief on a collective platform, be it Pandits or be it Muslims, and if our democracy is going to be riven apart by a debate, then we really have to ask what this democracy is really worth about.
Okay. I've got only a couple of minutes left. I'll allow Sushil to make a closing remark, then we'll go to Vikram, and then we'll take closing remarks from everybody. Sushil, go ahead.
Thanks, Barkha. Yes, I grew up during the Cold War era, and I grew up admiring Amnesty International for fighting the cause of prisoners of conscience. But that gave me hope. Hope that the problems of genocide victims from Kashmir Valley would be taken up by Amnesty. Till date, in last 27 years, I have dealt with Mukul Sharma, who headed Amnesty, and then followed by Christine Mehta, and now somebody else, Akar Patel. Not one report on our genocide in the last 27 years. So they cannot distance themselves and treat themselves as non-partisan, balanced organization.
Of
they
course,
have, of course not. Issue after issue, they have exposed themselves in terms of their leanings, in terms of their biases.
Barkha, the PDP chief minister and the PDP spokesperson not only welcomed this report of Amnesty International, which just documents violations which are admitted to in many cases by the Supreme Court, they even hailed the report and asked for the repeal of AFSA.
PDP accepting the report actually proves my point. Of course they will.
Sushil, you made your point. Now Vikram, you said is dissent bigger than the country. My question to you is, with the Nagas, I have a question for you, Vikram. With the Nagas, our government, our Prime Minister, and I know Nalin will want to come in on this, negotiated a peace accord. The Nagas say they still believe in their sovereignty, they want their own flag and they want their own passport. We don't book Mr. Muiva for sedition, Vikram. We in fact have the Prime Minister shaking hands with him and signing a peace accord. Do we not need that in Kashmir instead of getting scared of slogans, Vikram?
Barkha, I don't know what track 2 diplomacy is going on in Kashmir with the separatists. I think that's for Nalin to answer. But I think in the course of this debate, 3 issues just got intertwined with each other. One is, of course, the most important subject of the debate, which you said rightly, which is the strife in the valley, the civilians and the army jawans who are caught in the crossfire. The second is, of course, the issue of sedition. And our champion of human rights, Vrinda Grover, rightly said, these are antiquarian laws. Of course, they are Victorian laws, which are really old, as are Section 377 and a host of others. We need to repeal them, and I think the law, that's a totally different debate. So as long as the law is there in the statute book, I think governments will use and abuse them. The third issue is of Amnesty International.
I want to go to Nalin now.
Past, which I think is equally important to showcase here.
Okay, now before Nalin takes the last word, Shaila, a quick last word on why you think what happened in Bangalore and what's happening in Kashmir are connected. 30 seconds and then Nalin gets the last word.
I mean, the issue is that any discussion on Kashmir is stifled, and that is really pushing the people far, far, far away. And the BJP alone doesn't have the distinction of doing this. The Congress has done it since 1953, and that is why Kashmir today is on a downward slope. We believe it's an important issue, and it should be talked about.
Now, Nalin, my last question to you, help me here. Mr. Muiva, is he seditious? The Prime Minister called the peace accord with him historic. He continues to say the Nagas believe in their sovereignty. Is Mr. Muiva seditious? And if he is not seditious, why are separatists in Kashmir, whom your alliance with the PDP commits to a dialogue with, your party is in alliance with the PDP and you have committed to a dialogue with all stakeholders, including the separatist Hurriyat conference. So why is your party making so much then of pro-Azadi slogans in Bangalore? Nalin?
Well, my party hasn't yet in that sense. They've raised it with regard to the ABVP being there or not. I read a news report that said they were outside the event. So I don't know because I was not there. Now, with regard to I think anyone, and Brindaji, when she was pointing out, human rights is an important thing. Anyone who fights for it, it's a brave fight. Amnesty has done some remarkable work.
But you haven't answered my question.
I'm coming to that because these are just 3-4 quick comments I wanted to make. But these are challenges that will come up before the court. Some of them will meet their day. Some of them will be accepted. We can't say. Now coming to your question on Mr. Muiva or the Naga peace accord. Anyone, within the framework of the Indian Constitution, anything is possible. Nothing is possible outside the framework of the Indian Constitution. How did we have a peace accord? Yes, I'm saying, why are you going as far as the Nagas? I'll tell you, because this is something me and my family have been involved in. What about the Mizoram peace accord? That was insurgency against the union. So it is a 100% peace accord that every man, every bullet came over ground. So this country has within it the capability to do so. What we need to understand is, where does it begin? The beginning has to be within the framework of the Indian Constitution. It can't be extra, beyond the framework. So if you say, let us talk, because we want to be Azad, well, I mean, then you can talk to those who feel so.
Well,
if the Indian constitution doesn't permit it.
I have to end.
The BJP government have printed the preamble without the word socialist. They are already going to
I have to end. You're all speaking together. May I just say one thing? May I just say one thing? No, because everybody will want one sentence, so I have to say thank you here. But I will say, as somebody sitting here in the valley,
slogans.
Vikram. Okay, one sentence. What's your one sentence? Then Vrinda will also get one sentence. One sentence to both of you. Okay.
You talked about slogans and them not being important, but then it was just that one slogan of Vande Mataram which sparked our whole independence movement, right? I mean, slogans are important in mobilizing people and their emotions.
Okay, Vrinda, your one sentence.